Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Real Estate Success Podcast. I'm your host today, Jim Ingersoll, and it is great to see you guys. We have an amazing show today with the absolute amazing rehab diva, Kris Snure, and she's going to tell us how they're rehabbing 150 houses a year. Did you hear that right, guys? 150 a year. That's a lot of moving parts to manage. She's also involved with the other parts of Good Success and the Tom Olson team in beautiful Gary, Indiana area. And you're going to love getting to know her because she's got an amazing operation that she's running. I want to thank everybody who's already signed up for our boot camp coming up in February. Tom Olson is coming. I can't wait to see him again, by the way. It's right after his birthday, which will be fun. And that's February 22, 23, and 24. Get more information at www.investortrainingsummit.com. Investortrainingsummit.com. I hope to see you here, because we have some amazing speakers, panelists, and even the participants, the guests, the registrations are coming in from super strong investors from all over the country. Kris, nice to have you with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Good. This is your first podcast, right?
Yes, it is.
Do you ever listen to podcasts?
I do here and there, especially when I'm driving in the car.
Well, what do you listen to? The Good Success or others?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of those. Sometimes I listen to, well, the name of it just left my mind.
That's okay.
But I mostly listen to Good Successes for informational, but also just hearing what we've got going on.
I bet. So everybody should check out the Good Success podcast. I do highly recommend it. Tom's a good friend of ours, and you're going to love his show that those guys do. Of course, I was recently on it a couple weeks ago, so it was a lot of fun, too. Yeah. And then we did like a Facebook Live event. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
It was fun, right?
Yes.
So you've been doing this for how long?
Working with Tom?
Yeah. How long have you been like rehabbing here?
I think I'm going on 4 years now.
Wow. So 4 years ago, what did your volume look like? On the rehabbing
I think we were doing 6 to 8.
A year?
Yes.
And how many do you have typically going at one time right now?
Right now, we have on average 25 to 32.
Does that blow your mind when you think back?
Yes. Sometimes I miss it because it was simple and I didn't realize what I had then.
Yeah.
Other times I think it's awesome, the growth that we've had.
And your guys' your goal this year is to rehab 10 houses a month, right?
Yes.
120. When I mentioned that to my wife Cheryl a minute ago, what did she say? Makes me want to weep.
Yeah.
It's so many moving parts, between the labor, the materials, you got to get the timing, and then you got to focus on not losing your budget, not losing your timeline, right?
Yes.
It's stressful sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think when you have a really big surprise that you didn't know was gonna show its ugly face, whether it's something that costs you time or money, it's all money in the end. So.
Yeah, and that's what nobody ever talks about when they're talking about flipping houses and rehabbing and stuff. They don't ever like to talk about mold or massive structural issues or delays, as you guys get in Indiana with the utility department and permits, right?
Yes. The city, working with the cities can be one of the biggest headaches, for sure.
Now, we don't in Virginia have the issues with utilities that you guys do, but go ahead and explain kind of how that works.
So for us, a lot of the homes we're acquiring have been sitting, vacant for months, years potentially.
Yeah.
And for a utility company to come out and just turn on a power, it's not that simple. So a lot of the times, they're going to require inspections, or they've removed meters, or they've eliminated the gas lines that used to go to the property. So when we have city inspections, that brings the city involved. And of course, city yes, they are pushing codes, but a lot of times they just want their money.
Yeah.
So getting involved with an inspector before you've even touched the house, because obviously things need to be repaired, but their list is just, sky high and
massive. Yeah.
Yes. So anyways, it can cause, and then you're working with scheduling on their time. And if you're not talking to the right person, they can send you this way and that way, and in circles basically, which again costs you time and money. So we are working on a system to butter up the city.
Are you going to bring them donuts or something?
Yeah, for sure. That way we can, make sure we're talking to the right people the first time. And with scheduling, sometimes they're 3 weeks out, or you don't even know when they'll go. It's just you're waiting for them to get back to you. So that can really cause us delays, because a lot of times, we've already closed on the house once we're doing that step. So we do have, in our process, before we close on a house, we call a city and get an idea of what we call the utility companies to get an idea of what they're going to require to get turned on.
Right. So. That's good. And speaking of systems, let's kind of start there with EOS, because now you're the integrator for Good Success and the other 3 companies, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which 3 are they again?
So Olson Group, which is our buy and sell. And then we have Olson Construction Management Services, which does the construction and the rehab. And then we have Olson Property Services, which oversees the property management at the back end.
I gotcha. All right, so some of our success listeners might be saying, what in the world is an integrator? Now, Tom is a visionary, right?
Yes.
And you're
through.
Yeah, me too. So, but you're the operational guru, right?
I try to be.
Yeah. So tell us what goes into the life of an integrator.
I think it's a lot of problem solving, removing barriers.
Yeah.
And then when Tom gives me that vision, making sure that it's being implemented or figuring out how to implement it.
Does he ever ask you to do some unusual things?
Well, I don't know if we can put that in a recording.
Well, I mean, that's what visionaries do. They come up with things. They don't always work. They're not always good ideas, but we always have to investigate a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. So I went to a mastermind group one time, and they came up with this filter basically that I absolutely love for visionaries. Mm-hmm. So Tom, of course, is always coming up with the great ideas, but you filter them through a filter that basically decides, yes, we can do this, but we're going to wait, or no, we can't do this because this doesn't fit into our goals, or no, this isn't happening, period.
All right, and that helps? That helps?
Yes, for sure.
You can push back gently on him just a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And then a lot of times we're both already on the same page once we talk through it.
All right, very good. So you're running the operations, and let's focus in a little bit on the rehabbing side of things. Mm-hmm. Working for you on these 120 rehabs a year, you've got a couple of project coordinators?
Yeah, so I have Josh. He is the manager over the whole construction team.
Josh Kohler?
Josh Moberly.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. And so he's basically our project manager, construction manager. And then I've got 2 project coordinators, which we call PCs, and they oversee the different contractors that we hire to do the rehab. So they, at any time, will have 10 to 15 properties that they're overseeing start to finish. And then I have 3 O-team leads. They each are their own team crew. And they basically are overseeing their own house. They are basically our in-house general contractor for that property that we put them on.
So are all these folks on actual payroll then? Like
correct.
The OTM lead, the coordinators, and then of course the construction manager, right?
Yes. And then I also have we have a new hire just recently last year that we have as our purchasing agent. And
yes, I remember talking to Tom about that a few months ago.
Yes, we finally got that implemented. So she oversees the purchase of our materials. She's constantly looking for us ways to save on material, and then she oversees basically in-house inventory because we do buy things in bulk to save money, and so she needs to make sure that if it's going to a house, finance knows what budget to put that under.
Yeah, that's hard to do. So let's talk about that a little bit. Give us some examples of some things that she's been able to help with purchasing in bulk.
Mm-hmm. So we purchased a lot of the laminate flooring. So we started buying the waterproof laminate flooring, which is phenomenal. It's really good quality, especially since we really aren't losing these properties ever, especially with property management taking over.
Right.
So we want it to be a good quality that will last for our investors. So we buy that flooring in bulk. We buy it by the pallets, and then we buy. They just decided to start buying doorknobs, exterior doorknobs in bulk, because you're constantly changing locks on doors. And then I know that we buy in bulk flush mount lights.
Mm-hmm.
We have not been able to find them anywhere cheaper than Menards. And then I know she's in the works on getting carpet and carpet padding.
All right, so let's talk about those a little bit. You mentioned laminate flooring. How did you guys figure out how to buy that in bulk? I remember talking about that with Tom a few months ago. Or do you go directly to like Shaw or whoever?
No, so we for this we have gone. So we in our area we have Menards, Lowe's, and Home Depot.
Right.
And each of them we work with because honestly, some just can't compare to the other. So we work with their Pro Desk managers, and they are our huge advocate. We let them know what we're paying and what we want to be paying, and they constantly are working and looking for us deals. And when we buy them in bulk, we are signed up with a few different memberships outside of those stores that get us extra discounts with them, plus the store discount that we get. So when you add all of that up, plus they are able to get us a cheaper price buying it in bulk, it saves us a lot of money.
It does.
So yeah, so we were buying laminate flooring that was, I believe, 99 cents a square foot.
Okay.
And we were able to get it down to, I believe, 78 cents a square foot.
Wow. That's almost a 25% savings.
Yes, it adds up. And that's not including our discount.
Right.
So it's really big. What
kind of laminate flooring are you guys using? Do you remember?
I don't remember the brand, but we were really particular. It's a gray brown color, which goes with our colors that we put throughout the houses. And it actually has what do you call it? The textured grain look.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so it's not, a flat, plain looking color. And it looks really nice for our tenants or the flips that we do. It's huge, for sure.
And then like doorknobs, you're buying those directly from like the big box places? You can buy
yes. I don't know. I actually don't know who.
I go through tons of doorknobs, ridiculous amount.
Oh, I know. Yes, we're constantly changing them.
Yeah.
It is crazy how many doorknobs you go through. But I'm not sure who she ended up getting them through. But I know that we had a huge savings, and we just gave approval to go ahead and make the purchase.
Excellent. So that's your material side. And then you got your labor side. So talk to us about what like your construction manager does, your project coordinator does, and your O team leader does.
So the construction manager's focus obviously is to make sure we're finishing all of our projects on time and on budget or under.
Right.
So so he's really just kind of overseeing everyone's scheduling and kind of deciding what properties go to who. And then also he's huge on having to problem solve. Obviously, we have problems coming up all the time.
Every day.
And then also making sure that we're lining up the contractors with their jobs. You'd be surprised. Well, you might not be surprised, but a lot of our contractors are not great at saying, no, I can't handle this much work.
Right.
They'll just keep taking the job. So we have kind of taken it on ourselves to make sure that we're being fair to them and not giving them too much as well. So the project manager is always making sure that, the right people have the right jobs. The project coordinators.
So does he also plan the project? Like, does he figure out the scope of work and then how to outsource that to the right contractor?
So we leave that to our project coordinators and the O team leads. So whoever is going to be overseeing the house is creating the scope. We found that that's the best because they know from start to finish what's going on with the job, right?
And they own it.
And if any questions come up, they know what's going on. So we've definitely, that was learned all through trial and error, for sure. So he's not creating the scopes, but he is putting together our contractors agreements.
Okay. So he manages everything as far as like the timeline and the cost.
Yes.
And then does all the documentation, contractor agreements, and things like that.
Correct. Scheduling and problem solving.
Okay. A lot of problem solving, I'm sure.
Yes.
That's the key to rehabbing for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you've got a project coordinator. Now they develop the scope of work like before they start.
Yeah. So the project coordinator and the O team lead will go out and create a scope, and they're going to send it back in to get it approved. Once it's approved, then Josh starts doing his thing with lining up the contractors.
Okay. And you do that before you start the job typically? Try to, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Actually, honestly, best case scenario, it's getting a scope of work created before we even close on the house.
Yeah, that's best. So then what do you do when you start a job?
So then the project coordinators basically are going out to the job, meeting the contractor out there. Right. And then making sure that they're all on the same page with the scope. Week after, materials been scheduled to be delivered so that they can get started. And then the project coordinators basically are checking weekly to make sure that the contractor has what he needs. If any problems come up, that they are being solved as quickly as possible. If it's something that's out of their capacity, then they're bringing it to their manager and getting something resolved quickly. Then they're also making sure they're checking quality, constantly checking quality. That's one of our big pushes this year is quality.
Mine too.
Yeah. So, your contractors are only going to be held to the standard that you really hold them to, or they're constantly going to push back at it.
So there's three things we really push hard on our rehabs, and it sounds like the same thing: speed, quality, cost.
Yep.
If
Absolutely.
I can get those three, I'll have a pretty successful, and then a ton of problem solving. So it's like the exact same thing.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if the quality's not there, you're going to be holding a house for a long time.
Right.
Which ends up costing you more time, and if you have to go back and fix problems over and over again, money. So it's those three are very key.
You guys are doing mostly turnkey rentals, so you're like standardized as far as like paint color, flooring, appliances, finishes, right? So there isn't really much design work to customize a home, right?
It depends. A lot of the time, we're always trying to add a third bedroom just because the value goes up. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Bedroom and a bathroom.
Yeah. So Tom's wife, Becky, she's actually taking over design and quality control. So she's going out with the project coordinators and the O team leads and checking that with them. And she's is great at saying, let's remove this wall and add this room in, or add this bathroom in, or make this kitchen a little bit bigger. As long as it's in budget, it's great. And it obviously adds value to the home.
Take out the wall between the kitchen and the dining room, or add a closet into this room so we can convert it to a bedroom. That kind of thing.
Exactly. Obviously value is really important too.
It is. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And Cheryl does that for us, and my daughter Melissa do both an amazing job in that area. I think it really helps a lot. So then she'll work with like the coordinators to come up with that as part of the scope of work and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And the project coordinators can seem to manage like 10 to 15 at a time.
Yes.
Is that kind of their scope? And then
yes, I would say that their sweet spot's 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because when you've got a property and it has a lot of problems, it feels like you're dealing with 50 projects. So, yeah.
And sometimes the ones that drag out, you just like want to get them off the books.
Yes, absolutely.
Get rid of this house, right?
It's kind of like a dark cloud lingering over your head.
Yes, I totally understand. And then the O team leader is on site all day, every day.
Correct.
Right?
He's doing the work with them. He's coordinating. If we have to have specialty contractors come in, he's coordinating that. It's his baby.
Like trades and stuff.
Exactly.
But he actually works with tools himself?
Yes.
What kind of work do they do?
Well, we have some that are have specialty trades in certain fields. So one of them is really good with electric. One of them is really good with plumbing.
Gotcha.
The other one is great at painting. So sometimes they use each other as long as if they're just coordinating with schedules. So that saves us so much money. We're just working to get an HVAC guy in here, and then we'll be great.
I've been talking about that with Tom for a while because I've been really fortunate that we have one.
Yeah.
And I love it because I can do like a furnace change out or a heat pump change out and things like that really fast.
I know, and that with these old houses, that's just one of the regular things that comes up.
It's a big expense too.
Yes, it is. It is.
What do you think some of the biggest expenses in rehabbing are?
I would definitely say roof, HVAC, electric, and plumbing.
Yep, those trades, they get you every time, right?
Yes, and they're the regular things you hit with these old houses.
Yep, that is true. Okay. Going back to your role as like an integrator, give us like a snapshot into your typical day. Not that you have a typical day.
Yeah.
What would you kind of look at when you first come in the morning until you go home? What's sort of the flow of your day?
First thing I do when I get in the morning is, if I don't get bombarded, is I check all of my emails to make sure any urgent things are addressed. Because a lot of times, once I'm in the office, I have people coming to me with
all day long.
Yes, just needing guidance, decisions made, and then I don't know where I'd be without my assistant, because she really helps me get my regular stuff done. So the menial tasks, I guess you could say, but they're important at the end of the day.
Right.
So I check my emails. I do have quite a few meetings that I'm a part of, and I know we're always constantly trying to push back on meetings because people feel like you could just have meetings all day. But right now with the big transition that we took over, I am trying to be there for everyone to make sure that they need everything. And I will say probably in the last 20 days, 25 days, it's gotten to the point where I'm starting to feel some of the relief. Like we're getting the hang of it. We're all working together really well and getting in a flow. So I would say that majority of my day is problem solving.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
And driving in the culture.
Yes, for sure.
Right?
I'm constantly, we have a very open office concept. So you can hear a lot of conversations going on, and sometimes that's not great when you're trying to focus and work. So I put headphones in.
Same way. Cheryl's working next to me right now.
Yeah, it can be a distraction, but at the same time, I think it's great for the culture. We all interact really well together. We'll kid and joke, and then other times I will hear other people conversing about a problem, and if I have something that I can help them with, I'll just kind of butt in and be like, hey, yeah.
And that's what an integrator does.
Yes. Right. Yes.
All right, good. What was I going to say a second ago? Give some tips to our success listeners who struggle with finding reliable contractors.
Always be looking for new contractors. Yes, that would be my first one. We've had some great ones that we absolutely have loved. And even we still work with, but things happen, and sometimes
changes.
Yes, sometimes, they start to get really busy, and you can tell they start to pull away. They've got their own consistent work. Other times they kind of get in over their head, and they burn themselves out. And of course, in a way, we kind of always feel guilty about that. We always try to look back and see what could we have done better and make that improvement with our current contractors. But I think that you have to always constantly be looking for new ones. The contractors that we currently have that we've been working with maybe, 2.5 years on a consistent basis is, they're really good on communication. They will, they're really good at coming up with solutions. They don't come to you with every problem. Sometimes if they can't come up with a solution, you just feel like I might as well just be at the job with you. So
head against the wall.
Yes. They have, and the nice thing is a lot of our general contractors have relationships. So it's nice that they bring in new relationships with us, with new contractors. I think that quality is really important. A lot of our contractors, are used to not getting paid So we're really good on making sure we pay them. And I feel like because we try our best with our policies and procedures to take care of them and do what's best for them, even with our contractor agreement, it protects them and us. And our payment process protects them and us.
Let's talk about paying contractors, because it can be frustrating for investors and rehabbers to pay contractors. I've had them in the past where they almost want to get paid like within 30 seconds of finishing up.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating. So you got to set the expectation like,
yes,
this is our process for getting paid.
Yes. Yes.
So get your bill by Wednesday. We'll have you a check in a day or so, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
That's how we handle it. We have like a dedicated Gmail set up. They email in their invoice, and then they get it in by Wednesday. A lot of times we'll cut it on Thursday to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the cutoff once a week. So we don't necessarily have to pay people 7 days a week this way. How do you guys handle it?
Well, first thing definitely is upfront expectations. So we actually we started doing this end of last year, a contractor packet.
Yeah.
So when we first bring them in for an interview, we kind of go over all of, and we give them a sample contractor agreement. Here's our policies and procedures, what we require from you, W-9, COI, making sure they have workman's comp if they need it, or the waiver. And then also showing them our payment process and our invoicing process, everything that we require on an invoice, and how we deal with if extras come up. You have to get approval for things. You can't just do things.
Change orders.
Correct.
Yep.
So they're very upfront, and they get that documentation, so that way we can kind of say, well, you knew this. With us, as many jobs as we have going on at the time, and as many contractors as we're working with and trades, there's no way that my finance department can turn around and make a payment in 24 hours.
Right.
And I will say we've adjusted it as we've grown our process, but right now, as long as an invoice is turned in by Sunday at midnight, it's paid out that following Friday.
That's good.
And the work's done. Our PCs, our OT leads have approved that payment Monday and Tuesday during that week. But I think that, it's huge for our contractors to have consistent time that they're going to get paid. I know, my husband works in new construction, and they're like 30, 60, 90 days out.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes when our contractors complain, I'm like, well, let's look at the reality of what it could be.
Right.
So,
a whole lot worse.
I mean, they're always going to push as much as they can.
How do you guys like to find your contractors? Like, I get a lot from referrals. I've also had luck a couple other ways, but how do you guys like to find them?
So one of our favorite ways is to pull up the list from the cities. So we pull up a list from the city that any contractor that's pulled a permit with the city in the last year. That just shows that they're active, that they can actually work with that city that we're working in, which is great.
It's a good tip.
That's one of our favorites. It's kind of a guaranteed way.
Do you just go to the permit office and ask for that, or how do you get it?
Well, honestly, a lot of your cities, you just go to their website.
Yeah.
And we find it there and print it right off.
Awesome.
And then we will post on Facebook. We've posted on Craigslist. We do get a lot of referrals. We have actually gotten some referrals from, Lowe's, Home Depot, our relationships there, because they're working with contractors every day. So that's a great way to do it.
Church as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
I've had really good luck doing that as well.
Yes, it's all from your relationships, really.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that really helps with our culture too, getting them from our church and stuff.
Yes.
Like that, building out the team that way.
Yes.
That is all good. Now, if somebody is listening to the podcast today or watching this on YouTube or wherever, and they're interested in purchasing a turnkey rental from you guys, where would they go for that?
I would tell them we are currently working on our new website pages. Okay. So soon we will be pushing those out everywhere. But I would definitely just send them straight to Jared Stutmeister. He's over our buy and sell department. He works with all of our investors. Do I have his email? Yes.
What is it?
It's Jared at buyolsongroup.com. So Jared is Jarrod, and then buyolson, OLSON group.com.
So it's Jared at buyolson, BUYOLSON .com.
Group. olsongroup.com.
I'm going to put that in our show notes too, because turnkey rentals are big. You guys are in a phenomenal market.
Yes, we are. We're so fortunate because we're just outside of the city of Chicago.
Right.
But the state of Illinois is in debt,
Yeah.
expensive. So we have a lot of people who love the fact that they can pay Indiana prices and still work in the city.
So do you know the retail numbers on your turnkeys a little bit that you could share with our listeners, like just a typical deal? Like how much would they pay for it done, renovated with a tenant in it, and what would the tenant pay?
Right now it's about 120, 130.
Okay.
That they purchase. And right now on average our prices are about $1,100 a month in rent.
Good. So it's almost a one ratio. So it's close. So you'll rent for $1,100 and pay $120. The investor would.
Right.
And you guys are moving tons of those at those numbers.
Yeah, right now I know that in a way Jared's got more buyers than houses. They're really pushing for it.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate your time today and sharing how you guys rehab so many houses. 120 this year is mind-blowing.
Yes, we're really, honestly, we feel like it's actually reasonable. So we're pretty excited about it.
But just a few years back, you were doing so few, 6 or 8.
I know.
Right?
3 years ago. Yeah.
That's exponential growth.
Yes, we constantly do that. Thanks to Tom, our visionary.
Blow through the ceiling, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Or just add a 0 to your goals.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You can find a way. You guys have high demand for that product, that turnkey rental product.
Yes, for sure. It works.
So, all right, Kris, thanks so much for being with me today. I really greatly appreciate it and wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you. You too.
All right. And you guys, make sure you check out our boot camp, investortrainingsummit.com, February 22, 23, 24. Tom Olson is going to be with us. Maybe Kris also. We'll see.
Maybe.
And you can talk to her in person about how she's rehabbing 120 houses a year. Or at least Tom is the visionary and how they interact together is fascinating. So thank you very much, Kris.
Yes, thank you.